You know, there are ancient cities, and then there's Kashi. This is a place that feels less like it's from another time, and more like, well, another dimension entirely. It's a city where the past isn't just something you read about in a book, it's lived in every single day. We're talking, of course, about Varanasi.
Just look at this. I mean, this has to be one of India's most iconic landscapes, right? You've got this sprawling series of steps, the Ghats, just cascading down to the holy river Ganges. And they're lined with these incredible ancient palaces and temples. For thousands of years, this has been the destination for pilgrims, a place of just profound spiritual significance, and the backdrop for the daily rituals of life and death.
Okay, so for millennia, this city has been a spiritual epicenter. But what makes it eternal? I mean, really, what's the secret sauce? We see the images, we hear the stories, but what's the actual source code of this city's sacredness? That's the big question we're going to try and unpack together. Well, a big part of the answer starts with its name, Kashi. It comes from a Sanskrit word that means illumination or, and I love this, where the cosmic light concentrates. So right from the get-go, the city's entire identity is tied to this idea of it being a center of divine light and knowledge, a place where, the veil between our world and the next is just thinner. So to really get a handle on Kashi's physical form, we first have to dig into its mythic blueprint. We need to unlock the city's sacred code, the stories that shaped not just its identity, but its actual geography. And this foundation isn't just, some random folklore. It's all written down in these ancient texts called the Puranas. Now, there are 18 major ones, and you can almost think of them as these giant encyclopedias of the divine, just packed with mythology, history, and spiritual wisdom. Right, and within those 18, one is an absolute giant, the Skanda Purana. It's the largest of them all, with over 82,000 verses. I mean, that is a massive text, and it's named after Lord Kartikeya, the son of Lord Shiva. And here's where we really drill down. Because tucked away inside those 82,000 verses is a very specific, very revered section, the Kashi Khand. And folks, this is it. This is basically the mythological operating system for Varanasi. It's a detailed guide to its holiness, and it's said to be narrated by Lord Kartikeya himself. So the Kashi Khand kicks off with this amazing story. It all starts with the Vindhyachal mountain range. See, the mountain got a little full of itself. Swelled with pride, it started to grow taller and taller, trying to outdo its rival, the great Mount Meru, reaching right up into the heavens. And this act of cosmic arrogance, it had catastrophic consequences. The mountain got so tall, it literally blocked the sun's path. The whole rhythm of the universe was thrown into chaos. Picture this. One half of the world was plunged into a freezing, perpetual night, while the other half was just scorching under a sun that never set. Time itself basically ground to a halt. So, as you can imagine, the gods started to panic. They ran to Lord Brahma, the creator, who told them there was only one person who could fix this mess, the great sage Agastya. And where was this wise sage living at the time? Yep, you guessed it, right there in Kashi. And what Agastya did next was just brilliant. He traveled to the mountain. Of course, when the arrogant Vindhyachal saw the revered sage, it bowed down low as a sign of respect. And that's when Agastya made his move. He asked the mountain to please stay bowed until he got back from his pilgrimage to the south, a journey he knew full well he would never complete. And just like that, he saved the world. So you see, the Kashi Khand doesn't just tell cool stories. It makes the very ground of the city sacred. And this quote from it is just incredible. It says, "Performing crores of yagyas will not yield the religious benefits which will be derived at every step that is taken in the bylanes of Varanasi." Think about that. It's saying that the simple act of walking through Kashi's alleyways is more spiritually powerful than performing millions of grand rituals. Every single footstep becomes an act of devotion. Okay, so we have this powerful mythic blueprint, but how does that translate into the actual buildings, the streets, the architecture of the city? Let's take a look at how Kashida is, quite literally, a city carved from myth. Well, according to Hindu cosmology, Kashi isn't just another city on a map. It's what's known as a cosmogram. It's basically a symbolic map of the entire universe, with Kashi sitting right at the very center. It's seen as a tirth, a sacred crossing place between our world and the divine, almost like a portal to the heavens. And you can literally see this history etched into the very stones of the city. The architecture is this incredible melting pot, a real testament to centuries of change. There are over 80 ghats, many built during the Maratha Empire, and they show off this amazing diversity. You've got everything from the proud pillars and intricate balconies of royal palaces to these ancient soot-covered temples that have seen millennia of worship. And right at the absolute heart of this sacred map, this cosmogram, there's one place that acts like a spiritual magnet, drawing in millions: the Kashi Vishwanath Temple. Now, the temple's immense importance comes from what's inside: a Jyotirlinga. This is a very special, devotional representation of Lord Shiva, and the name literally means a pillar of light. Remember how Kashi means illumination? Well, this is the physical manifestation of that divine light. There are only a handful of these in the entire country, and the one in Kashi is considered the most sacred of all. The temple that we see today has its own incredible story. It was built in its current form back in 1780 by the great Maratha queen Ahilyabai Holkar. She was a legendary temple builder. Then, in 1839, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the Lion of Punjab, donated a ton of gold to cover 2 of its domes, which is what gives it those iconic golden spires. And since 1983, it's been managed by the state government, which just shows you its national importance. But here's the part that's truly mind-blowing. Tradition holds that a single visit to this temple gives you the same spiritual merit as visiting all the other Jyotirlingas in India combined. Just let that sink in for a moment. The belief is that because Kashi was Lord Shiva's original home, the place he chose above all others, a pilgrimage here is like the ultimate pilgrimage. In a way, all spiritual roads lead to Kashi. Okay, so we've got the myth, we've got the architecture, but what happens when this ancient, sacred blueprint smashes right into the beautiful chaos of modern life? This is where Kashi becomes an eternal, living city, where the past and present collide. And this, right here, is the beautiful paradox of Kashi. It's a city of the most amazing contradictions. You have the profound quest for salvation and liberation existing right alongside the simple pleasure of a hot cup of chai from a street stall. The grand idea of a cosmic, perfectly planned center is right next to the chaotic reality of unplanned buildings. The austere, solemn pilgrimage happens just feet away from the vibrant energy of everyday life. People gambling on the ghats, lively conversations with travelers. It's all part of the same rich, complex, and totally fascinating fabric. And I think that's really the key takeaway here. In Kashi, history isn't some static thing you find in a museum. It's a living, breathing entity. It's something that's constantly being debated, reinterpreted, and rewritten, which makes the city as relevant and as dynamic today as it was thousands of years ago. Which really just leaves us with this one big final question to think about. How does a single city manage to be both a sacred map of the entire cosmos and, at the exact same time, a messy, living, breathing home? That, I think, is the enduring mystery and the absolute magic of Kashi.